and fulfillment is just in that attitude. We have this we have seen this, and we see this in our families normally, but now it seems that some Christian reality, are totally forgotten. In some society, we can see that prevails the market, the money, the earthly things. And the Pope is quoting also Gabriel Marcel, a famous philosopher of our time, who says, I communicate effectively with myself only insofar with others, with other people. I communicate with myself only if I'm able to communicate to others. Life exists where there is bonding, communion, fraternity, through relationship, bonds of fidelity. Seems to us that this is obvious, but as I say, sometimes it's not so obvious. And we have the tendency, as Pope says, to confine ourselves just in selfishness. A law of ecstasis seems to operate here, says the Pope. This movement behind ourselves. The lover goes outside the self to find a fuller existence in another. It's not like a mirror, but really to find the meaning of your life in others, the relationship between people. And the Pope is saying it's not just with one people, one person. It's not just even the couple relationship, if it is so closed, become an obsession. And he says that also the social sense and self-centered trust with the appearance of intense relationships. In fact, they are not intense relationships, but just self-centered, become like a prison. The same the Pope is saying about groups. If there are little groups that are very close, self-absorbed, couple self-absorbed, are some form of selfishness and mere self-preservation. As couples or friends, we find that our hearts expand as we step out of ourselves and embrace others. So the relationship with one person in the couple, in the family, or a little group is just in order to expand to a friendship to everybody, not just to remain in that little group. We have the experience, for example, in the group of the parishes, or even our group of ascribed. If for 20 years or many years, nobody is entering in that group or in that choir or in that group of ascribed, very soon will die, not only for aging reasons, but because there is no relationship, no openness. The Pope is noting that today also in the world, in the church, there is a tendency to have little close groups, but this is not helping in the development of relationships. Hospitality. Pope is pointing out that in the church, hospitality was always, especially in the religious orders. He's mentioning the Benedictines. He says Benedictines, they are a cloister, but still Benedict left open this circle to hospitality, saying that even if they're not disturbing the guests or people are coming from outside to the monastery. Hospitality is a concrete way of not depriving oneself of this challenge and of these gifts, which is the encounter with humanity behind one's own group. The unique value of love. Pope there is quoting St. Thomas of Aquinas, who says that virtues without love are incapable of sustaining life in common. We can cultivate beautiful virtues, but without charity, without love, they don't go further. the spiritual stature of a person's life is measured by love. And all of us as believers need to recognize that love takes first place. Love must never be put at risk, and the greatest danger lies in failing to love. Pope is referring to First Corinthians, and we find there a great point for our spirituality. Of course, all this part of the encyclical is talking to us very much, because Pope is talking about love, and very soon about universal love, universal charity. The experience of loving that all we can have in our life and every moment and in our family. And Saint Thomas of Aquinas is saying also that is a movement that focuses on the other, considering him as one with himself. So the desire of be unite to other people, to love others as I love myself, a movement that focuses on the other. St. Thomas of Aquinas goes from the esteem to the appreciation to the charity. So everything starts with the esteem, then appreciation, then charity. Charity, says the Pope, contains this word of grace, word of something free, totally free. The word gratis is totally offer to the other person. And I found myself in this explanation that gives the Pope, starting from Thomas of Aquinas, what our founder writes in the principle of moral science. When he says the same, he repeats a bit St. Thomas, from the esteem to appreciation, then to charity, to the value of all the being in their own order. And so I am capable to love all the beings, not only human beings, also animals, plants, all the creation of God. Looking for the best for the life of the others. Social friendship that excludes no one, and the fraternity that is open to all. As we remind, this encyclical was signed in Assisi, near on the altar of the tomb of Saint Francis, and the Pope is talking about a social friendship that really is open to all the world. A continuity with Laudato Si, which is quoted quite a lot in this encyclical, a social friendship that involves the environment and all the creation. A love ever more open. Love makes us strive towards universal communion. As Gospel of Matthew say, you are all brothers. No one matures or attains his fullness by isolating himself. There are people in the world, we find today also young people, that they say, I am perfect in myself. They prefer to be alone in the house, alone in the family. It's very common today to see the difficulty when there is one child and the parents are going to have a second child. All the struggle and the problem for the firstborn to have a sister or to have a brother, especially in the Occidental world, this become now a big problem. The idea that the other one is taking away something from my parents or from my family. But it is true that no one matures or attains his fullness by isolating himself. Progressive openness is necessary, acceptance, involvement, new belonging. These are like the horizon that the Pope is giving, to us, to the church, to be open to the other, acceptance, involvement, new belonging. And he's talking about society that are open to integrate everyone. The Pope is saying that the famous peripheries or existential peripheries, in fact, are close to me. They may be in the same family when one member of the family is a bit isolated, self-isolated or isolated by others. Even in our societies, there are existential foreigners, even if they are born in the same country. Pope is referring to a group of people that are discriminated, not because they are from other countries, but because their condition or their situation, or because they are disabled, because they are not in some social level. The Pope is affirming that racism is a virus that quickly mutates and instead of disappearing goes into hiding and lurks in waiting. So there are in the society hidden exiles, many persons, for example, with disabilities, all the elderly people, all the people that in our society they have no more voice, or they are deprived of their voice. They have no more participation, or they are deprived from participation. Uh, the encyclical is also pointing out an inadequate understanding of universal love. For example, first, a false universalism. Pope refers to people that really are not appreciating their own country, and so they like to go around in other countries because really they don't assume that you don't appreciate their own roots and origins. Pope calls this a false universalism. And another type is authoritarian and abstract universalism. Uh, People that think we are the best in the world and everybody should be as we are. So that the attempt of homogenizing or dominating or plundering other cultures. And the question of the Pope is, are you going towards a monochrome future? I mean, just to melt all together and we see what would come out. That will be the future of mankind. Pope says that we have to go behind a word of associates, as just associates. He is referring again to the parable of Good Samaritan. And he says that the person that goes there, pass through the road there, and they see that poor man, but they are very much identified with their own role. I am a priest. I am a Levite. I have to do something. I cannot stop here. So they identify themselves with their role. And on the other hand, there is this man on the road who is nothing, is nobody. So this contrast between those that have their own role and the other one that is nobody. So the question, we are in the world, in the church, neighbor or just associates, just socials that we go together just looking what I can take, what interest I can have being or going with you. The Samaritan is a person that is not attached to his role, is attentive to the other person, and he put aside his own time and occupation to help him. Pope is saying that there are social groups that cling into identity, to an identity that separates them from others, just to be with their own strong identity, or they attach very much to a role or to some identity, but that at the end separates them from others. And the Pope says as a big root, freedom, from which come equality, and fraternity, we can develop equality and fraternity only in a common freedom, only being free from attachment to roles, attachment to identifying with a group or with some brand, or just being something particular or different by others. This morning, while I was reading this page, came to my mind a little anecdote, a Rosminian anecdote. When was Holy Week, Father Biju went to all the celebration of the Holy Father in St. Peter's, and every time he was taking a photo with a different cardinal. And so he sent me the photo, no, very nice, no, so with a different cardinal. And one day, I don't remember if it was all the day of Easter Day or Palm Sunday, he took the photo with Cardinal Sarah, and he told me that he told to the cardinal, I am a Rosminian, and Cardinal a bit answered to him, I am a simple Christian. So sometimes we identify with a group, even Rosminian, but more we are not attached, as the founders say, to our name, and better it is to live universal love. Universal love that promotes persons. It's necessary that very basic acknowledgement of the worth of every human person, always and everywhere. The worth of every human person, always and everywhere. It seems that if I am born in the United States, I have more value than if I am born in another country. It seems in the past that if I am born a human, have a different value of those that person that is not a human, a man, and so on. So Pope is taking this example to say the place where you're born, or your condition, or your social class should not be a discrimination. The worth of every human person, always and everywhere, looking first of all at individuals and the common good. The Pope is talking also about a proactive state that guarantees the weakest. For the people that are wealthy, it's enough that the state will guarantee freedom, some normal standard of freedom. They are happy with that. But if really we like to help people, the weakest people, we have to guarantee other things than just freedom. So a proactive state that is necessary everywhere. The Pope is not precisely talking about some nations that third world country or whatever. This idea is finished years and years ago. We are talking about every country, even the country that we consider the rich countries. In fact, they have big existential peripheries. Effective economic freedom. Many times, the economic freedom is just on the paper, but it's not effective. There are like some lies, golden lies in the country, in the state, but people cannot reach there. It's a little group, in fact, that can have this economic freedom. And in some situation, I don't know to whom Pope is referring, but probably we can think about, there are claims of individualistic rights. Really, they are not the rights for everybody, but just for a very little group that become politically used for other reasons. So even when we talk about universal love, should be a love that promotes persons, not something a bit romantic or a bit general or just a political statement, but really to go to the people. If really that universal love is promoting person, promoting people. And that's why uh, going to the life, the personal life of the person, of the people, promoting the moral good. Pope is talking about the attitude of Latin benevolencia. Benevolencia means an attitude that wills the good of others. Uh, I like to do good to other person. I want benevolencia. I want the good for other person. I, together with my good, the good of the other. And from there, solidarity. Solidarity, which is today uh, like a must. In the past, this was considered by charity or people that have more good than others, or people of the church. But now, solidarity, it is necessary for every person to develop himself or herself. And also, Pope is talking about solidity. I like very much this number, solidity, because I really personally I experienced that. I can tell you something about my life now. When I was living in Venezuela, as you know, and especially when I went to work in the college between 2013 and 2021. But there were some protest of youth, social protest. They were firing cars and everything in the streets. That was between 2015 and 2017. And I was there in the college. The parents were very, very frightened. And I was there asking to the students to come to school. After this protest, there were other difficulty, and then the COVID. I mean, 7, 8 years with many difficulties. I experienced that the most important things for the adults, for the parents, for the teachers, for the people in the college, was to give to the youth solidity. I was referring to them very much when there was a Second World War in Europe, especially. The people that were at the university in that time, they continue to do their university as normal life. They try to do normal life the more than they can. If we read books about Second War, we can see that uh, in the destroyer of the world, they try to keep their normal life, even in the middle of all the difficulties. Solidity. The, the church should give hope to the people. The priest, the Institute of Charity should give that type of solidity. And even in the family, uh, today sometimes father or mother, they pretend to be the good friends of the children, but in fact the children, they need the rock that are their parents. They need some sustain, the type of solidity. I found this very helpful to understand what means the Pope with solidarity, what means with benevolencia, why I am well, I am living in Italy, in Rome, why I should show some solidarity, not because I am Christian, but because I am a person, a human person. Why I should show benevolencia, will the good of the others. Why I have to go behind my own situation or my own family? The Pope is talking about a moral level that allows one to go beyond oneself and one's own interest. Unfortunately, we all have experienced also that during the COVID or after the COVID, in many families, they are incapable to go beyond oneself and one's own interest. The suffering was so great in some families. They've lost their beloved members without the possibility to farewell them or to talk with them. And so the reaction is a reaction of closeness, of looking just to their own interest. Service always looks to their faces, touches their flesh, senses their closeness, and even, in some cases, suffers that closeness and tries to help them. Pope says this thing when he visited Brazil, and he's quoting this in the encyclical. This refers a lot of what always the Pope repeats, that when we touch the poor or we touch the needy people, we are touching the flesh of Jesus, the flesh of Jesus Christ. And it's not necessary to go to a mission out of our country to see that, to understand that. It's enough to watch the television, to think about also what we see in our streets, even in any place of the world. What he suggests in the Pope now is also to re-envisaging the social role of property. When we read this page, many think, that's true, the Pope is a communist. But the Pope is not a communist. He's just saying something that is in the Bible, in the first page, when God creates the world. The world exists for everyone. So there is a common destination of created good for everybody. That's why there's a consequence. The right to property is not an absolute, untouchable right without frontiers. So the right of property is not so absolute like the fact of the common destination of created good. So this is the basis, the common destination of created good. The world exists for everyone. So the right of property is secondary to that. For what we find, we feel that the right of property is so big. Even the founder, in his philosophy of rights, say that after my person, the second right is that of property. That's correct. But we are reaching a situation where we should go to a greater basic right, which is the common destination of created good. So rights of peoples, if we talk to rights of people, every country is also of the foreigner. I found in these days in a book of Antonio Rosmini this concept, the right to emigrate. If my country, if my own country is not providing to me the necessary to live with dignity, I have the right to emigrate, to go to another country. Is that interesting that Rosmini was writing about these things in philosophy of right? The Pope is saying this, rights of peoples, every country is also of the foreigner. So there open a window, a very interesting window about immigration, about how to regulate immigration. For example, talking about Europe, the Pope was saying now we have immigrant of A and immigrant B. So those that are immigrating to Italy from Ukraine, they are good. Those that are coming from Mediterranean, from North Africa, they are not good. So we are again making division over division. That's why the Pope is saying it's necessary a new international relations network. This is, of course, the Pope recognized this is another way of thinking. This is another logic so far, an alternative way of thinking. The challenge of dreaming and thinking about a new humanity, a new style of living between the countries, wanting a planet that provides land, home, and work for all. And this is the true path of peace, not the senseless and myopic strategy of sowing fear and mistrust of outside threats. We know that this is very much used by politics in one country or the other. We have seen now the chapter 3, and chapter 4 has this title, Heart Open to the Whole World. It's like a consequence or again application of the chapter 3. This is a shorter chapter. It's talking about so going forward, talking about immigration. And so he says that every nation should be welcoming, protecting, promoting, and integrate. Should be the attitude, no, to solve this problem that we are seeing all along the world, everywhere. I was struck when I was in Kenya in April during Easter time to realize how many people from other countries of Africa are come to Kenya in the last 20 years, from Rwanda, from Uganda, from other countries of East Africa. And these movements are all around the world, everywhere. If I think that Lebanon has a population of 5 millions of people, and they have received 2.5 millions of Syrians, which is amazing. Half of their population. And this will be totally impossible in European countries. But this happens in some countries like Lebanon. The number 130 of the encyclical is very interesting because Pope is giving many examples how to answer to this situation, how to welcome, protect, promote, and integrate. He writes, as examples, we may cite increasing and simplifying the granting of visas, adopting programs of individual and community sponsorship, opening humanitarian corridors for the most vulnerable refugees, providing suitable and dignified housing, guaranteeing personal security and access to basic services, ensuring adequate consular assistance and the right to retain personal identity documents, and so on. Seems to us things, oh, why we go in these problems? This is just for the government, not for us. But I think that all we can see in the parish, for example, there are some children that they cannot go to school. They came from their country, from North Africa. They don't have documents. They cannot go to the school. How we can help them? Or here in Rome, we see many refugees. They don't have documents. They cannot go even to the center of Caritas. So how we can help them? Sister of Mother Teresa, they receive people also without documents. People in this sector where we are living here in Rome, people are frightened sometimes because there are so many from other countries going around. It's no more so secure, this area, like it was in the past. All problems that you see are not just for the government, but for each one of us, for our community and our parishes. So that's why the Pope is suggesting something at a wider level, a concept of full citizenship to avoid discrimination. So try to talk how to integrate them, how to welcome, protect, promote, integrate them, a concept of full citizenship, to renounce to the use of the term minorities. You know, I am from Milan, and in the city of Milan, the different mayor of the city in the past year, they did different ghetto. I don't know that in your city also there are some ghetto. So the ghetto near the famous stadium of Meazza in Milan, there is a huge Arabian ghetto. So all the Arabian persons are there. No one of the Milanese will go there because there is a proper mafia, no? Last year in the city center in Rome was killed during Carnival, was killed a young Peruvian man in Campo de Fiori in the city center because there was a confrontation between two mafia, no? The Filipino mafia and the Peruvian mafia. So situations that are all over the world. How to avoid this? Concept of full citizenship, to develop a form of global governance with regards to movements of migration. This can be an answer at a wider level. Also the awareness that we are a reciprocal gifts, communication of richness between the cultures against cultural sclerosis, the mutual necessity between West and East. The Pope is referring his experience when he went to Abu Dhabi and he signed down the document on fraternity. That was the step before this encyclical. So he was talking with the Imam about that point, the mutual necessity between West and East. There can be a fruitful exchange and dialogue to avoid the use of the politics of double standards. There are only those poor countries that we consider poor countries that have to receive from us, not the other way around. Or we can take oil or whatever from them, but we don't give. Awareness that we are either all saved together or no one is saved. This was a refrain used by the Pope during the COVID, during the pandemic. An integral development, international cooperation for the development of all the peoples in solidarity. And the Pope is talking about the concept of graciousness, means the ability to do some things simply because they are good in themselves, without concern for personal gain or recompense. As religious, as priests, as believers, of course, we have a big part in that. Because the Pope there is quoting the Gospel when say, "You receive freely receive, freely give." That is a word of the Lord. It is in the Gospel. This attitude, this reality of graciousness. Not everything should be paid. Something can be given gratis. Even the principle of Augustine, Saint Augustine, give to the poor what you have more, what is spared to you, at least at first level. Pope is saying we need to think not only as a country, but as a human family, starting from the persons, from the people. I don't know if in these days you were watching a boy that went to Got Talent in England, and he was singing Jesu Pie, Jesus Pius, a famous song, and with a beautiful voice. And when this boy is presenting himself, he says, I am a Londoner. In fact, his parents are from other countries, no? But with a perfect, of course, he born in London, no? So you can see this come to my mind to think as a human family. not only as a country, a single country. Then the Pope is developing in the encyclica this theme about the relationship between local and universal, how it is necessary that these innate tensions between globalization and localization should be kept there. We cannot solve the tensions. We cannot fall in one extreme or the other to become too provincialist, too parochial, or to become totally melt in something global. So it's necessary to be able to keep the local flavor that help us a lot to be to live solidarity, to be near to others. At the same time, a universal horizon. A healthy culture is open and welcoming by its very nature. Indeed, a culture without universal values is not truly a culture. That was something very strong that the Pope says. A culture without universal values is not truly a culture. And if we reflect on that, a culture or a place that is very close is supposed to die, to finish, to become even not become a culture. So it's necessary openness. Let us realize that as our minds and hearts narrow, the less capable we become of understanding the world around us. And in fact, our education, or if we look to the history of our life, we can understand that. And we can see this when founder talks about universal love, what to feel about other nations, and also the possibility of opening our mind and his own life, the own life of Antonio Rosminian, of many people of the church, but especially a man like Antonio Rosmini, a writer and a thinker. We can see how he lived in his life this reality, looking at oneself from the point of view of the other, to open your life, your experience of life to others, how other people look at me or look at my culture, the encounter of culture, the interculturality. Our local experience needs to develop in contrast to and in harmony with the experiences of others living in diverse cultural contexts. This seems impossible 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but now we can see that it is the only way, or it is the way. A healthy openness never threatens one's own identity. This is something just used by a government or the other, no? But really, a healthy openness never threatens one's own identity. Of course, the Pope before was writing about to have your feet in your roots, in your country, to appreciate your history, your land, your place. The Pope is finishing this chapter saying that global society is not the sum total of different countries, is not just the play of the different flags, but rather the communion that exists among them. The mutual sense of belonging is prior to the emergence of individual groups. Man is a limited being who is himself limitless. This is another sociologist and philosopher, Semmel. Family of nations, cultural, economic, and political integration, the value of love for one's neighbor, the we, or in the English translation of the encyclical, they call shared identity. The we, I mean, to think about we and not just I. All of these mention of this reality at the end of this chapter. The Pope is referring, for example, to some experience in some area of the big cities when they cultivate this neighborness. And we can see in many areas of the world also this is essential to the life not only of the family but of a sector of the city or of the village. So that value of love for one's neighbor, the shared identity of a place or the other. The important is that this will be composed, no, in a city or in a country. I think that this is all what I can say to now to on these two chapters. I don't know if there are some integration from your part or some question like to underline something, please feel free to do this. And sorry for having talked too much. And you can activate your microphone if you like to say something.
Do you think the Holy Father might be in some way taking for granted the social stability that we have, I mean, how is he going to protect the stability of the social structure that we have while opening the doors wide to situations that might undermine it?
Yes. Yes, Virginia, that's is a very good question. And I think that the Pope is developing this in the other 4 chapter, no, that follow this, because he will talk about politics, dialogue and friendship, again encounter between society, what create. He will talk about the war and death penalty, and also the role of religions in all this. So the last 4 chapter will go further to more detailed applications. Now Pope is just saying the basic things are this. We cannot forget this when we go to the single problems or difficulty.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Easy to me, I don't know for you, but there is no need this time to say which are the attachment to or the points of our charism or spirituality. It seems very much in the middle, no, in the center of our spirituality, the call to universal love. And I can see, I was asking to myself, was the founder too early on the time, as always we say, or is the church too a bit late? I don't know, because sometimes in some of the recent documents of the church or a speech of the Pope may say that we are a bit, we have to run a bit. It seems that the time goes and we fall in the same problem, in the same difficulties, especially when the COVID time, no? Sometimes Pope was saying there, no? We are going back to the same problems, same difficulties. Father Anthony, please.
Well, just a comment, really. I rather like this stepping out of ourselves and embracing others. Quite early on, we're talking about that, and it's a sacrifice, isn't it? A sacrifice to discover ourselves, not by isolating ourselves. And I thought really on Saturday the coronation of King Charles III was in some ways a contradiction, and yet it was a breath of fresh air and an opening up. On the one hand, we had Protestant, quite predominantly Protestant. I guess there were three cardinals there from the Catholic Church, three cardinals present, and Vincent Nichols, you know, prayed for Charles, and you know, it's very important, I think, isn't it, that we're giving ourselves for others and leaving the consequences to God almost, not trying to make sure we've got all the doors nicely, tightly shut and compartmentalized. It's just this total openness, I think, hospitality, risking, sacrifice. End of chat.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony. I saw in Aletheia the informing news of the Vatican. No, it was underlined that usually at such coronation, the Catholics, the cardinals, will not enter the Westminster Abbey. This was the first time that they enter, no, in the Westminster Abbey. So just to underline, yes, the world is changed, and really we have to help each other, no, help each other to build up social friendship and fraternity, as Pope says. Brother Reginald, nice to see you. How are you? You should put on your microphone. If you like to speak, you put on your microphone.
Who is Brother Reginald?
Hmm?
Who is Brother Reginald?
Brother Reginald is a brother from the East African province.
Thank you.
Can you, there in the corner, there is the microphone, is red, and you should click on that.
Red.
Very good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your nice presentation. Actually, I've been asking myself as regards to what Pope talked about this kind of economic freedom. And my question which came in is that, how does this efficient and effective economic freedom impact Rosminians' universal charity? Because here we are looking economic from different dimensions. Europe is different from Africa, from India, and all those. But how does this one impact Rosminian universal charity?
Yes. Well, this is a theme very delicate, isn't it, around the world? From what the little that I can understand, for example, that of now the virtual money, you know, that make a lot of problem. Okay, in 2010, imagine a big crisis, no, and economical crisis. But economists say that that was nothing with what can fall on the world. So I think that a great preoccupation, a great worry is also in that not only Rosminian world, but in the church and in the world. I don't know if you have heard about that group that is called Economy of Francis. Economy of Francis.
Right.
Pope Francis in 2019 started this movement, especially with young economists, young people, just to see how to start with the world, or to give some hope to the world in that side of economic. Now, in our Rosminian world, I think we are doing some little step, no? At least in the sense of a new awareness. What I can say, okay, in the last meeting of Major Superiors, surely was very clear that awareness that we have to help each other. Of course, that was always there, no? But but how really to help each other in the situation. Not just to move, oh, they need some help, so we take from here and give to them there, no? But really how to walk together, no? In that of helping each other, in the people that need, like in some places of the world, they need really the basic things, or they need to develop a parish or a mission, and people that really they need personnel, because this also is economy, no? I don't know if I've answered to your question or.
Oh yeah, from the dimension, yes, I'm getting, because I've been looking from a different dimension. When we are talking about this economic freedom, it's more than what we think, I think.
Yeah.
No, whenever we have economic freedom, it has also its own impact. But to what you have said, at least you have given me a point to add. At least clear for me, yes. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. We have now to close, because we are organized that there is the Italian version in few minutes.
All right.
So we have here a prayer that the Pope puts at the end of the encyclical. There are two prayers. We use one of these. We listen now the prayer, and so we will conclude our meeting. Next meeting, the last one, will be next Tuesday on the last 4 chapter of the encyclical.
The same time.
A prayer to the Creator. Lord, Father of our human family, you created all human beings equal in dignity. Pour forth into our hearts a fraternal spirit, and inspire in us a dream of renewed encounter, dialogue, justice, and peace. Move us to create healthier societies and a more dignified world. A world without hunger, poverty, violence, and war. May our hearts be open to all the peoples and nations of the earth. May we recognize the goodness and beauty that you have sown in each of us, and thus forge bonds of unity, common projects, and shared dreams. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your time, and
Thanks, man.
have a nice evening.
Thank you.
God bless.
Bye.
Thank you. God bless you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.